I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha! How would you like to be so centered and so focused and so present this Christmas season that you see and you experience love wherever you are? In this talk today, I'm going to share with you 3 gifts that will help you to know that love is Christmas and that you will have a magnificent and beautiful Christmas this year. So God bless you, and here we go. A kindergarten teacher at a Unity church is teaching the kindergarten students about Christmas. And she's trying really hard to emphasize the importance of Jesus' birth and keep the focus off of Santa Claus. So she teaches the children about Jesus and Mary and Joseph and all the animals and the whole story. And then she sings Silent Night with them to really bring that message home. And afterwards, she says to her Sunday school class, now I want you to draw a picture of Christmas. So all the kids get down and they're drawing their pictures, and she goes by little Eddie and she looks at his picture and she sees that he's doing a fine job. However, next to the manger, there's what looks like to be a fat little man. And she says to him, "Oh, Eddie, that isn't Santa, is it?" And Eddie says, "No, of course not. That's round John Virgin." Timmy was in Miss Thompson's elementary school class. His mother had recently died, and Christmas was just around the corner. And the day that we're sharing today in this story is the last day of school before Christmas. And after lunch, the students all came in, and the teacher came in, and she found on top of her desk all these presents from every student in her class. And she was amazed and so happy, and she sat down and she started to unwrap each child's present and would say thank you for the great gifts. And she noticed that in the midst of all these gifts was a gift that was wrapped up in looked like an old grocery sack that was wrinkly, and she thought, oh my, I bet this is Timmy's gift. So she picked up this gift and kind of wondered, what do I wonder what this is? And she opened it, and inside was an old bottle of inexpensive perfume. And so she said, "Oh, thank you. This is very nice." And then also in the bag was a bracelet, a rhinestone bracelet that had some of the stones missing. And so she took the bracelet and she put the bracelet on, and she said, "Oh, Timmy, this is so beautiful." And then she thought, "Oh, the perfume." And so she picked up the perfume and she dabbed the inside of her hands with the perfume and rubbed it around and let the perfume be a part of her. And later that day, when the children were all working, she walked by Timmy's desk, and he said to her, "Oh, Miss Thompson, I love the way that bracelet looks on you." And he said, "And you smell good too. You remind me of my mother, who had died recently." And Timmy went ahead and graduated from kindergarten or first grade, and Mrs. Thompson didn't hear from him for a long time. And then one time she got a letter from him, and it said, "Dear Miss Thompson, I want you to know that I'm graduating second in my high school class. Love, Timmy." And then another amount of time went by. She didn't hear from him. And she received another note that said, "Dear Miss Thompson, I'm graduating first in my class, and I just want you to know." and some more time passed, and another note arrived. It said, "Dear Miss Thompson, I'm graduating Timmy Stollard, MD. I want you to be the first to know. And since my dad passed away last year, I would hope that you could come to my graduation. You are the only family I have left." Both Mrs. Thompson and Timmy opened to the presence of love this Christmas. I really treasure how Mrs. Thompson took Timmy's gifts that meant so much to him, and she accepted them and loved them and was so careful with sharing her love with him. Mrs. Thompson and Timmy show us that love is the greatest transforming power in the universe. So my first Christmas gift to you is to know that we are here, just like Mrs. Thompson and Timmy, to share and see love everywhere we are. I am open to the love of Christmas. I respond to every experience with this love. Say that with me. I am open to the love of Christmas. I respond to every experience with love. You know, Jesus taught us to love ourselves and to love others. And I really like that his message was so much about love and about sharing that love unconditionally with everyone. He's so much demonstrated that in his life. You know that Emily and I are getting ready to launch our Aloha Small Groups series based on Will Bowen's book, A Complaint-Free World. And somebody asked me this week, well, what exactly does it mean to complain, or how do you define complain? So, to complain is to express displeasure, to criticize, or make a negative judgment. We can recognize that a complaint is a complaint because we have some energy behind it. That's right. It's like if we really check in with ourselves, when we make a complaint, we'll realize that we have some energy, we have some attachment to the complaint. It's not just like sharing a fact, right? A complaint has energy behind it that it says that I have displeasure, or I'm criticizing, or I'm making a judgment about something or someone. So the basic idea of this series, A Complaint-Free World, is to go for 21 consecutive days without complaining. And whenever we complain, we have to move, or we get to move this bracelet from one arm to the other. And everyone who participates in this program with us will get one of these bracelets. Seems like a pretty easy thing, right? To not complain, yeah. We thought we did pretty well. You know, we've been doing this about 2 weeks now, but I guess we were about a week into it, and we were pretty proud of ourselves because we had gotten 2 days in a row, right? Which felt pretty significant at the time. And we were taking our morning walk and enjoying the beautiful morning, and the school bus came by, right? And this school bus comes by and passes us almost every weekday morning that we're taking our walk. And this particular time when the school bus went by, we said, gosh, you know, it just seems like there's no students on that bus. Kind of seems like a waste of money for the school district to be paying for this bus that has no students on it. It's like, what are they thinking? You know, here we're trying to conserve money in our school district, and these buses are driving around with no students in them, and then we kind of looked at each other like, oh, because we had some energy behind that, and so we were complaining. And so what we got to do as a result, we got to move our bracelet back to the other arm and start over again our 21 consecutive day program. And what we noticed was that when we started to complain, it changed this whole walk that we were on, right? All of a sudden, it's not this wonderful, beautiful morning walk that we're taking. All of a sudden, we're not present to the walk. We've been pulled out of that and into the complaint, and it changed the way that our day began for us. Complaining negatively affects our health, our relationships, our conversations, our attitude. When we complain, it cuts us off from our power. It cuts us off from our connection to Spirit. It cuts us off from our ability to be present and express the presence of God in whatever we are doing. When we criticize, when we condemn, when we talk negatively about our world, what does it do? We know that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, right? So when we complain about our situation, it's like the energy of the world changes and responds to us in the same way. When we complain, we remove ourselves from the present moment. So this complaint-free world that we're going to create through our small groups will begin in January. And what I've really discovered is this is really about mindfulness. Because what happens when we start to be aware of when we're complaining or when we're wearing this bracelet is that we pay attention to what we're thinking and to what we're saying. And it really helps us to stay focused in the moment. And isn't that what we really want? To be focused right here and be present right here, right now. Imagine how you will feel when you're not complaining. Imagine how you'll feel when you are totally connected to the essence and to the truth and to the love that you are. Complaining shuts us off from our good and keeps us from experiencing the Christmas season in its fullness. So my second Christmas gift to you is to be mindful, to be present in this moment, and to begin this process by not complaining. And I hope you'll join us in our complaint-free world Aloha small group series starting in January. I am open to the love of Christmas. I respond to every experience with love. Let's say it together. I am open to the love of Christmas. I respond to every experience with love. The other day I was watching a TED Talk by a woman whose name is Valerie Kaur. Valerie Kaur is a civil rights activist. She's a lawyer, she's a filmmaker, she's an innovator and founder of an organization called the Revolutionary Love Project. And we're going to be hearing a lot more from this woman. I really encourage you to check her out and watch her TED Talk. Her speeches have reached millions worldwide and are inspiring a movement to reclaim love as a force for justice. Don't you love that? Valerie Kaur tells a story of being 20 years old watching the Twin Towers fall. She says that the horror stuck in her throat when a face flashes across the screen of her TV. And she sees a brown man with a turban, and she realizes that our nation's new enemy looks a lot like her grandfather. The turban he wears is meant to represent a Sikh's commitment to serve. And now it casts them as terrorists and makes them targets of hate. Valerie says, The first person killed in a hate crime after September 11th was a Sikh man standing in front of his gas station in Arizona. His name was Balbir Singh Sodhi. Balbir Singh Sodhi. He was a family friend of hers. And she says, I called him uncle. And he was murdered by a man who called himself a patriot. I went to Balbir's widow, she says, and I wept with her. And I asked her, what would you like me to tell the Americans? What would you like me to tell the Americans? And she says, I was expecting her to blame. But she looked at me and she said, tell them thank you. She said 3,000 Americans came to my husband's memorial service. They did not know me, but they wept with me. Tell them thank you. Thousands of people showed up because unlike national news, the local media told Balbir's story. 15 years later, Valerie returned to the gas station where Balbir bled to death. She says, his brother, Rana, turned to me and said, nothing has changed. Valerie asked her brother, who have we not yet tried to love? And we knew that we had not tried to love the murderer. And so we decided to call the murderer in prison. The phone rings. My heart is beating in my ears. I can hear the voice of Frank Rogue, a man who once said, I'm going to go out and shoot those towel heads. We should kill their children too. I asked Frank, why did you agree to speak with us? Frank says, I'm sorry for what happened, but I'm also sorry for all the people that died in 9/11. Frank says, I'm sorry for what I did to your brother. One day when I go to heaven to be judged by God, I will ask to see your brother, and I will hug him and ask him for forgiveness. Rana says, we already forgive you. Valerie says, forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is freedom from hate. Because when we are free from hate, we see the ones who hurt us not as monsters, but as people who themselves are wounded, who themselves feel threatened. Valerie says, it took me 15 years to make that call. I had to tend to my own rage, my own anger, and my own hurt. Loving our opponents requires us to love ourselves. We must love ourselves. We can breathe through the fire of pain and refuse to let it harden into hate. We can see those who have hurt us as wounded beings who are looking for love. The person is not the enemy. Ignorance is the enemy. How can we change the way we see others? Valerie says, we can train our eyes to look upon strangers on the street, on the subway, on the screen, and say with our minds, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, you are a part of me that I yet do not know. I choose to wonder about you. I will listen to your stories. I will help you when you are in harm's way. We can see no strangers. The name of Valerie Kaur's book is See No Strangers. So my third Christmas gift to you is to encourage you to love yourself, to forgive those who hate you or hurt you. And to be free from hate is to see everyone you meet through the eyes of love, to see no strangers. I am open to the love of Christmas. I respond to every experience with this love. Valerie says, the future is dark, but is this the darkness of the tomb? Or is this the darkness of the womb? What if our future is not dead, but still waiting to be born? The love of Christmas desires to be born in us today. The three gifts I have to share with you today. Remember that we are here to respond to every experience and every person with love. To be mindful, to be present, and to stop complaining. And to love ourselves, and to forgive others who have hurt us, and see everyone that we meet through the eyes of love. To see no strangers. This is the love that is Christmas. And I invite you to close your eyes. Now let's take a deep breath together. Breathing into this moment. Feeling into the peace that is present right now. Feeling into the love that is the potential, that is the essence, the perfection of who we are. And to breathe into that place at the center of our beingness that is only love. To share that love wherever we are. To be mindful, to be present, and to see the beauty in the world, in the moment, and to not complain. And this all begins as we learn to love ourselves. Embracing that love. To see no strangers. To see only brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. And to hold others up. And to embrace them in the truth that they are. And let's take just a moment in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. And slowly and gently bringing our awareness back to this moment, right now. And I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And so it is. Namaste. And I invite you to prepare your contributions to Unity Church of Maui. And as you bring them forth, to bring them forth in the essence of this Christmas spirit of love, of being the presence of love this Christmas, wherever we are. And so I invite you to hold them in your hands or think in your mind what it is you would like to give to Unity Church of Maui today. And as we hold these thoughts and these gifts, let's affirm and pray together our prayer of prosperity, which begins, through a grateful giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. And you can give to us in a couple different ways. You can go to our website and click on the donate and make a safe donation there. Our website is www.unityonmaui.org. Or you can also give to us the old-fashioned way and send us a check to Unity Church of Maui at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And thank you. I've got just a couple of announcements today. Next week, my talk is titled Joy to the World, and we'll be looking at how can we totally embrace and embody joy in this Christmas season. You know, many of us spend our lives waiting for events and people to change so that we can experience joy. However, as we know, true joy is entirely independent from what happens outside. Our joy in truth comes from inside of us. So no person or event can truly make us joyful. So next week we'll look at what can we embrace, what can we know to fully experience the presence of joy in this Christmas season. So join us for that celebration next week. And speaking of celebration, it reminds me that Hanukkah began on December 10th in the evening and goes through December 18th. So happy Hanukkah to all of us who celebrate this amazing holiday. Our Christmas Eve services, you may have heard, we're going to offer 4 on December 24th. Christmas Eve at 4, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:45 right here in our High Street location. There's a whole lot of the information is on our website and in our e-blast, so I won't go over all of it right now, but you can, it's by reservation only, and you'll need to call Emily Goss to make reservations. Her phone number is 808-268-8310. And we're only going to have 10 people in each service, so you will need to make reservations to be a part of our Christmas Eve services. So please call soon. They're filling up, and we want everyone to have a chance to come. And you will need to wear a mask, and that goes over your nose and your mouth. Our number one concern is your safety, so we're going to follow a lot of restrictions, not a good word, but we've got some guidelines that we're going to follow to keep you safe. And Emily can go through those when you call her. Let's see. Also, we start our Complaint Free World small groups on January the 7th, I think is the date. We're going to do that on Zoom at 7 o'clock. And invite you to call Emily as well to sign up for that. And this is going to be a magnificent program. I know I've talked about it a couple times and how life-changing it has been for us. And we'd love to have you join us in this amazing transformative program. And you can also join us for our Zoom meeting on Sunday. The links to that are in our newsletter and on our website. And also on Wednesday, I do a meditation and read the Daily Word. That's at noon Hawaii time every Wednesday. And If you enjoy our services, you can find many more on Unity Church of Maui's YouTube page. So thank you for being with us today. It's a pleasure to serve you. I love you. I bless you, and I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. And let's end our time together today by praying and affirming the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Aloha and mahalo.